Thank you for being here and watching this video. If you enjoy it, please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. I want this channel to be more than just a collection of videos. I want it to be a community where we explore fascinating ideas, discuss them openly, learn from one another, and grow together. So don't stay silent, join the conversation. Collective consciousness theory and cognitive network analysis suggest that there is a hidden assumption most people never question: the idea that your thoughts are strictly yours. We tend to view our minds as isolated, fortified vaults, where we generate original ideas in total privacy. But what if that is only half the system? What if the human mind functions less like an independent computer and more like a node in a massive shared cognitive network? This isn't about mystical Wi-Fi or supernatural telepathy. It is about pattern resonance across culture, language, memory, and emotion. It is the realization that the self is not a closed circuit, but a temporary intersection of shared signals. When we look at history and sociology, we see that ideas do not just appear in one head. They ripple through populations simultaneously. This suggests that the real question is not whether we share a consciousness, but how much of what you think is actually locally generated by you. Here's the uncomfortable part that most of us prefer to ignore. You don't just think ideas in a vacuum. You receive them, filter them, and repackage them. We are essentially processing units for a larger cultural software. Have you ever had a thought that felt too perfect for the moment? Or noticed how entire populations suddenly start thinking the same way about success, fear, identity, or morality without any central coordination? That is the signal. It is the sound of a network self-aligning. From Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious to modern network theory in sociology and cognitive science, the pattern repeats. Human cognition behaves less like private computation and more like distributed processing. We are constantly vibrating in sympathy with the narratives surrounding us, often mistaking the echo for our own voice. To understand this operationally rather than mystically, we have to look at the hardware of human interaction. Language is the interface, the code through which we upload and download concepts. Culture is the transmission layer, the medium that carries these codes across time and space. And attention? Attention is the bandwidth. If you control the flow of attention, you don't need to control individuals. The system self-aligns because human beings are biologically programmed to seek resonance with their peer group. This is why trends spread faster than logical arguments. This is why emotions go viral before facts even have a chance to load into the system. An emotional signal is high frequency. It bypasses the slow, analytical, local processing of the individual mind and taps directly into the networked responses of the collective. When we consider the Jungian perspective, we see that the collective unconscious is filled with archetypes, ancient shared patterns of thought that every human inherits. These are the factory settings of the human mind. Modern network theory simply updates this for the digital age, showing how information flows. Follow the same paths that water follows through a landscape, the path of least resistance. If a thought is easy to think and fits the existing emotional architecture of a group, it will be thought by millions of people simultaneously. We see this in the great man theory of history, where we credit a single person for a revolution, but in reality, that person was simply the most visible node in a network that was already saturated with a specific idea. The genius is often just the person who receives the signal, with the least amount of static. This networked reality challenges our fundamental understanding of individuality. If our minds are nodes, then our uniqueness is not found in the raw material of our thoughts, but in the specific way we filter and combine the shared signals we receive. Most of what we consider our personality is actually a collection of external inputs that we have curated over time. This doesn't mean the individual isn't real, but it does mean the individual is a configurable entity. Our mental architecture is shaped by inputs we didn't choose, education systems we were placed in, media loops we were exposed to, social reinforcements from our families, and the emotional contagion of our era. We are like stained glass windows. We don't create the light, we only color it as it passes through us. However, accepting this reality is the first step toward actual autonomy. If you don't realize you are part of a network, you are at the mercy of the network's current. You become a passive receiver of whatever narrative is most dominant. But once you recognize the signal, you can begin to audit your inputs. You can ask, is this my fear, or is this the network's fear? Is this my definition of success, or is this a downloaded value system? The goal is not to disconnect. That's impossible for a social animal, but to become a more conscious node. We must move from being a slave to the sink to being a deliberate filter. If we accept that consciousness is partially collective and that individuality is configurable rather than absolute, we arrive at a critical strategic implication. This isn't just a philosophical curiosity. It is a practical blueprint for cognitive sovereignty. If you want different thoughts, you don't just try harder to be creative or original. That is like trying to change the image on a television by yelling at the screen. Instead, you change the exposure architecture. You change the inputs that are feeding your node. This is where philosophy meets practical control systems. In the network of the mind, your information diet determines your mental probabilities. And those probabilities eventually determine your identity outputs. You are the sum of the data you allow to pass through your filters. The Stoics understood this concept perfectly, though they used different vocabulary. They spoke of attention discipline, the radical practice of guarding the gates of the mind. They knew that if you allow your attention to be captured by the trivial or the toxic, your character will eventually align with those things. Modern psychology calls this cognitive bias management. The effort to recognize the shortcuts and pre-installed filters our brains use to process the world. Network theory calls it input regulation. All three disciplines are pointing to the same mechanism. The only way to maintain a semblance of self in a collective network is to be extremely selective about the signals you tune into. You are not a closed system. You are a filtered node, and the quality of your filtering is the only thing that distinguishes you from the crowd. However, there is a darker edge to this theory that we must confront. If collective consciousness exists in even a partial form, even if it's just the synchronization of many minds through culture and media, then manipulation also scales to a terrifying degree. In a networked world, narratives become infrastructure. They aren't just stories we tell, they are the roads and bridges of our mental landscape. When a narrative is successfully installed in the collective, it becomes common sense, which is another word for network-wide synchronization. At this point, the belief is no longer something you have. It is a programmable layer of your reality. You don't question it because the network doesn't question it. In this environment, emotion becomes a currency and a weapon. Because emotions are high bandwidth signals that move faster than logic, they are the primary tool for those who wish to steer the collective consciousness. If you can trigger a widespread emotional response, fear, outrage, or even a specific kind of manufactured hope, you can force the entire network to self-align in a specific direction. Individuals will believe they are making their own choices, but they are actually just following the emotional current of the network. This is the ultimate form of control. Not forcing people to do what you want, but making them want what you want by altering the shared emotional weather of the system. So we come to the final operational question. Are you thinking, or are you being synchronized? To answer this, you have to look for the seams in your own logic. When you find yourself holding a strong opinion, ask yourself where it came from. Did you build it from the ground up through observation and first principles? Or did you download it as a pre-packaged narrative bundle? If your thoughts perfectly match the talking points of your chosen social or political sub-network, there is a high probability that you are being synchronized. True independence in a collective system is rare and difficult. It requires a constant active resistance to the easy resonance of the group. Strategic cognitive sovereignty requires us to treat our attention as a limited and precious resource. It means being as careful with the information we consume as we are with the food we eat. It means seeking out static, ideas that don't fit the current narrative, just to see if our filters are still working. It means practicing silence and solitude to see what thoughts remain when the network is quiet. If you don't intentionally configure your own architecture, the network will do it for you. The default state of a human node is total synchronization. To be an individual is an act of defiance against the natural flow of the system. Ultimately, the theory of collective consciousness doesn't strip us of our humanity. It reveals our profound interconnectedness, but it also warns us of the risks of that connection. We are part of a grand collaborative symphony, but if we don't pay attention, we become nothing more than a background hum. The goal is to be a resonant node, one that adds something unique to the collective signal rather than just repeating it. This is the difference between being a parrot and being a poet. One repeats the code, the other rewrites it. Thank you for watching all the way through. I really appreciate you being here. Let me know what you think about the ideas in this video, and feel free to share your own perspective or advice in the comments. I genuinely like to read it. If you enjoyed this kind of content, please like the video and subscribe. My hope is to build not just a channel, but a community where people explore meaningful ideas, exchange thoughts, and grow together. See you in the next videos. Bye.